Hello everybody, Matt Anderson, 3 gems in 3 minutes from The Road Not Taken from this week's upcoming podcasts. Podcast number 1 was with Dr. Matt Jackson, who is a Stanford University economics professor, who wrote this book, The Human Network. And the action item, I'm actually going to start with what he suggests doing as an action item, which is to get out of your comfort zone and network across social divides. Network with people that you wouldn't normally consider networking with. And that seems very counterintuitive until you understand the rest of his thesis. His basic thesis is all of us grew up in a bubble. It doesn't matter where we were, it was a bubble. And it limited the ideas that we were exposed to. It limited our behaviors because we only imitate the people around us. It also, of course, limits the opportunities that we get. So we sort of vaguely understand the idea that if we network, we expose ourselves to more opportunities, but we don't think about networking differently. And Dr. Jackson's a great example of this because he's done that in his own world, gone to conferences in completely different industries, exposed himself to new ideas. So the reasons you do that is because it's going to make you more innovative, which is going to make you a far more compelling, effective business because you're going to be more innovative. You come up with better solutions to other people's problems because you're talking to different types of people, which gets your brain more creative. So you will behave differently and come up with new ideas. That's podcast 1. Podcast 2 was with Dane Rasmussen. He is the head of sales at Inspirato, which is the world's largest boutique travel company. He too, he started from very humble origins, and he too is a different thinker. So he runs his sales teams, and yet the action item I've got for you is this suggestion that you ask everybody that works for you, including people you outsource to, this question: what kind of life do you want to create? So he goes far beyond just pigeonholing salespeople and only talking about their sales quotas, and therefore probably not making them feel very cared for as a human being and all the things that matter to them. But it's almost obvious. Well, it is obvious when you think about it. If the people that work with you feel truly cared for on every level, there's every possible knock-on benefit that you're going to get, including not losing people sometimes, because you're going to create new opportunities for them if what they're currently doing isn't the best fit for them. So fantastic ideas from Dane. And then my third podcast was with Asvin Chauhan, who is a top of the table $1 Million Roundtable producer, which puts him in the top 0.25% globally in his industry. And what I loved in his ideas was this idea of not being intimidated by people who are either much more financially successful than you or just perhaps further ahead in the profession. So his suggestions are very practical. His first one is, don't compare yourself to these people. And the second thing is, if someone's speaking at a conference or an industry event, go up and talk to them. It's okay. And I know this from my own experience. I've spoken hundreds of times, and people, and then I've been in the audience hundreds of times, and there's this divide that somehow you can think of all these reasons not to talk to the speaker. And Asvin has never been one of those people. And ironically, that's how I really got to know him. I did a presentation, and he and one other person came to talk to me afterwards. So I know he does this. But the point to it is he's not intimidated. He is a curious person. And so things for you to do: be more curious, be more fascinated, but don't be uncomfortable about doing something like that. It's almost like a best practice that is one of many reasons why he's a top producer. And that then he translates that to not being intimidated by people that, as a financial advisor, maybe are extremely wealthy, because he says the right things to himself. He knows that he is a person of value, as are you, and he knows that there are things that he knows that they don't know. And so he knows he can bring value in that regard as well. So it's very much of a mindset and an attitude, but it's a way of life. And I learned that from Asvin as well. So keep those things in mind. So the action item this week would be one stretch of talking to somebody, approaching someone much higher up a food chain. Matt Anderson, 3 gems in a little bit over 3 minutes.